Now let's talk about the causes of high estrogen. Okay, the causes. Number one cause. Number one, high sugar diet. Research has shown that a high sugar diet may contribute to increased estrogen levels in women. Excessive sugar intake can lead to elevated insulin levels, which in turn can affect hormone regulation and increase estrogen production. This is a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. This study found that a high glycemic diet, which is high in sugar and refined carbohydrates, can increase estrogen levels by promoting the production of insulin and other growth factors. Growth factors. Think cancer. It is growth. Okay? That's what you don't want. Elevated insulin levels can enhance the activity of enzymes that convert androgens into estrogen, particularly in fat tissue. So obviously sugar is going to increase, your weight in terms of fat. And that in itself is a problem for estrogen because it contributes to high estrogen levels, because fat cells, if you didn't know, produce estrogen. Fat cells. Okay? So this is something you really want to be on the lookout for. Definitely take a look at the full study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. And also, this is going to increase your chances for developing cancer. That is what is important to note about the increase of sugar. So it's especially refined sugars and refined carbohydrates. So think, donuts, cookies, cakes, pies, soda, tasty cakes, Little Debbie's, all them things. Girl, just throw all that mess out of your diet. Don't even do it. It is not worth the risk. It just is not. Okay. And so now let's get into one that people may not realize. This is a very popular thing that a lot of women use when they're trying to, control when they get pregnant, prevent pregnancy, all of those things. And that is hormonal birth control. Now, this is something that was said for years. Oh, no. Hormonal birth control has got no adverse effects whatsoever. And I stood out on a limb solo, the way I felt, like nobody supported my idea for years that women should really reconsider hormonal birth control of any kind. Now we are starting to get information that hormonal birth control is a problem regarding increased estrogen. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's important. Welcome to Work It Lady Podcast, where it's time to put in the work regarding educating yourself on all areas of your health and well-being. At Work It Lady Podcast, we are dedicated to empowering women to take control of their health and mental well-being. Our mission is to provide women with the knowledge, inspiration, and tools needed to transform their lives, from improving nutrition and fitness, navigating womanhood, and if you're a mom, excelling at motherhood. Step 1, like this episode. Step 2, share it with someone you love, and even the haters, they need help too. Step 3, subscribe on podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, join our mailing list to stay in the loop on classes and events. I am so happy you made it here, girl. Thank you. So the research and reasoning on hormonal birth control contributing to an increase in estrogen is because many hormonal contraceptives, including birth control pills, patches, IUDs, they all contain synthetic forms of estrogen. While these methods are effective in preventing pregnancy, they can also elevate estrogen levels in the body. You're going to get that exacerbated even more if you are overweight and eat bad and don't exercise. So not only are you getting extra estrogen from those three things that you're not doing, you're not eating healthy, you're not exercising, you're also going to be getting it from the patch or whatever birth control method you're using as well. So your body is getting flooded with extra estrogen that it does not need. So a study in the Journal of Reproductive Medicine found that oral contraceptives, especially those containing estrogen and progesterone, significantly increase estrogen levels in women, particularly in the first few months of use. Over time, this can lead to hormonal imbalances, contributing to symptoms like mood swings, bloating, weight gain. All of these things are just signs of increased estrogen, which we don't want. Thank you, researcher Weiner, for this research that you've done and shared with the Journal of Reproductive Medicine. We appreciate that. So, girl, if you are on that, get off. Okay, if you're in, and I get it, certain people live their lives in different ways. Maybe you're more promiscuous, you do the one night stands and all that stuff. But if you are in a committed relationship and you're feeling pretty good about it, talk with your husband and see if you can just get off of this. There's lots of other things that can be done. This is something that I have done for most of my marriage. I was only on birth control for a very short time. Another thing folks don't tell you, well, they do, we just don't read. It's in the journal, in the pamphlet. If you actually read the pamphlet on birth control, they are also watered down abortion pills. So if you want to explore that more, definitely just read the paper that comes with the birth control, all of them, even if you get an IUD and all of that. Really understand and read the information and do more research, and you will come to find out that is basically the case. So that's just something else for those of you who care to know that. So again, no judgment, no shade. I understand that people got to do their lives. Preventing pregnancy is something that can be a very good thing if you are not ready to be a mom. So definitely understand that. Definitely hear where you're coming from. Okay, now let's talk about the last one that is going to increase, or actually the last cause, of high estrogen. Okay, what are the causes? That is what we're talking about here today. We talked about hormonal birth control. We have talked about excess sugar. Last but not least, we are going to talk about the role of not exercising. Okay, we touched on a little bit. I'll talk about endocrine disruptors as well. Let me just talk about the endocrine disruptors for a little bit. I don't want you to focus on this though, because endocrine disruptors, while they will disrupt your estrogen, the not exercising and eating bad is a far bigger endocrine disruptor than certain chemicals that we come into contact with. Now, some of the chemicals that can be problematic obviously are pesticides, phthalates, and things like that, BPAs. That is because these mimic estrogen in the body. A lot of these are going to be found in plastics. This is one reason I try to prioritize bringing my own water places. I fill up my own water bottles. I try to avoid drinking water bottles, the plastic ones you get at the gas station and such, because a lot of times those sit out in the sun when they're taking them from one place to the next, and all of that, the sun beating down on the plastic makes even more BPAs and things like that go into the water. And so I try to avoid that at all costs. If I'm desperate and thirsty and that's all that's available, I will drink it. But my go-to is to bring my own water. So that is what I'll say about the endocrine disruptors. There was a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism that does discuss this in further regarding chemicals that women can avoid because they are endocrine disruptors. But remember, sugar is also an endocrine disruptor. So while you're worried about, your cleaning products, while that is important, I'm not saying that it isn't, you need to worry more about the sugar, because that's going right into your gut and right into your bloodstream and disrupting your hormones far greater and far faster, okay? Now, for all of y'all who like to puff on the cigarettes, marijuana, and illegal drugs, this also is a cause of high estrogen. Drug use, recreational drugs contribute to elevated estrogen levels in the body. Okay? The Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that marijuana use can affect estrogen metabolism, potentially increasing estrogen concentrations. Other substances, including alcohol, that's one that we all know and love, can also impact estrogen levels by affecting liver function, which plays a key role in estrogen metabolism. Chronic drug and alcohol consumption, for instance, can impair the liver's ability to break down and eliminate estrogen, leading to a buildup of hormone in the body. So again, if you like to puff on the marijuana, if you like to, do your vaping, girl, and all of those things, you are messing up your estrogen. You are causing yourself to have high estrogen, which puts you at an increased risk for breast cancer. That's what we do not want. We don't want that. So now I will also really quickly talk about the last thing here, and that's the lack of exercise that we did talk about. When you don't exercise, you're not pushing any estrogen out. So that is one of the main causes of high estrogen, is not working out ever. When you work out, you will notice, if you do it consistently for even a week, you will notice less breast tenderness. And when you notice that, take note and be like, wow, I reduced my estrogen just in one day of working out. And it doesn't even have to be strenuous. Just going on a simple walk, you are pushing estrogen out of your body. You are regulating your hormones. So that is another cause for high estrogen, especially in American women, is that we're sedentary. We don't walk enough. And so we are just hoarding estrogen in our body instead of expressing anything out, so to speak, by exercising. Okay. So ladies, I know I hit you with a lot today, girl. Okay. It's not easy. I get it. Sometimes I get it. It's like, man, all these things we have to do. I got to think about high estrogen and all this stuff. But my goal is to help us, with all of this. So I hope you appreciate the information for that. Okay. Be on the lookout for the episode following this one. It'll be linked to this video where I'm going to share with you natural ways to reduce high estrogen. There's a lot we can do, and it's super easy. I know you're going to be successful in doing that. So stay tuned for that video. Definitely hit the like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.